The smell that changed everything. You ever have a moment in life where something so small just flips your entire world upside down? For me, it was laundry. Yeah, not a fight, not a confession, not even catching her in the act. Just a pair of her panties in the laundry basket, and the smell. Not perfume, not detergent, something else. Something familiar, but not from her. That's when the doubts I'd been pushing away hit me all at once. My name's Tim. I'm just a regular guy. IT consultant, 34, married 5 years. My wife Candace. Everyone calls her Candy, was the kind of woman that turns heads without trying. Charismatic, smart, the type of woman who made you feel lucky just being next to her. And I was lucky, or I thought I was. We'd been trying to have a baby. That was the plan. Just signed a huge service contract with a California firm. Big raise. Life was finally moving forward. Then came the camping trip. Just me and my best friend Jake, who also happens to be my boss. We've known each other since college. He was the best man at my wedding. The kind of guy who's always been charming, and a little too smooth for his own good. That trip changed something. I didn't realize it right away, but when I got home, Candy felt distant. Off. Her energy was somewhere else. Quick to snap at me. Barely touched her food, always on her phone. The usual, something's not right, checklist. But I still brushed it off. I didn't want to believe she'd cheat. Not her, not with Jake. Then the panties happened, and the smell. You know when your gut tells you something, and you try to pretend it's indigestion? That was me. But this wasn't indigestion. I went straight to a lawyer before my business trip. Ruby Hawkins. Cold, sharp, professional. Said I'd need evidence, photos, video, something ironclad. That's when we got a private investigator involved, Marvin. Old school guy, discreet. He handed me a phone tracking app and a small audio recorder. Told me where to plant it. I felt sick doing it. Like I was violating her privacy, but what about what she was doing to me? When I left for the West Coast, Candy kissed me like everything was fine. Told me she'd miss me. Told me she loved me. She even said she'd be working a private party that night. Said Jake offered her $150 to waitress since one of his staff canceled last minute. A random excuse. But Jake never mentioned anything about throwing a party. I told her to be careful. She told me she loved me. That night, I couldn't sleep. So I called the investigator, told him where she'd be. He said he'd look into it. Next day, I got an email. Candy spent the night at Jake's house. She's still there. She was very busy. I didn't want to open the attachments. I did anyway, and that's when my heart broke. There she was, my wife, in Jake's living room, with him, and not just him. 3 men. I recognized them all. Friends, colleagues, people I'd had drinks with, shared meals with, laughing, celebrating, using my wife like she was a trophy being passed around. The pain wasn't just emotional, it was physical. I couldn't breathe, couldn't even think straight. My hands were shaking. I threw up in the hotel bathroom, then sat on the cold floor, staring at the wall for 2 hours. This wasn't just cheating, it was betrayal, total betrayal, and I wasn't going to let it go quietly. But I wasn't going to scream, or confront her, or go full Jerry Springer. No, I was going to take everything. Slowly, quietly, carefully. They thought I was weak. They thought I was blind. They had no idea who they were messing with. The first move, after seeing those pictures, I thought I'd hit rock bottom. But it turns out rock bottom has a basement. The next morning, I woke up in my hotel bed, clothes still on, phone buzzing next to my head. It was Candy. I didn't pick up. I couldn't. I just stared at her name on the screen like it belonged to someone else. I checked the tracker. Her phone was still at Jake's house. Still, Marvin sent me 2 more photos. Worse this time. More men. Jake was there, sure. So was his son, Mike. A kid I used to mentor when he interned with us. A kid I helped get into the company. And 5 other guys, all from Jake's office. People I knew. People I used to trust. And Candy. Well, she didn't look like someone being taken advantage of. She looked like she was right where she wanted to be. I don't know how long I stared at that screen. But something in me clicked. That switch. The one that flips when grief turns cold. Yeah, it flipped hard. And in that moment, I realized something important. If I reacted emotionally, I'd lose everything. But if I played smart, If I stayed quiet, I could burn them all. That afternoon, I finished the contract presentation with the California firm. Shook hands, smiled, got back to my hotel, booked an earlier flight, and headed home. Didn't call Candy, didn't text her, she didn't know I was coming. When I pulled up to our house, her car wasn't there. But I knew where it was. Still at Jake's. Tracker said so. I walked into our quiet little home and sat at the kitchen table. The same table where we used to plan baby names. Where we celebrated promotions, Thanksgiving dinners, late-night ramen after long days. I sat there for an hour, just staring at my hands. Then I picked up the phone and called Ruby, my lawyer. "I'm back," I said. "Let's move forward." We scheduled a meeting for the next day. I asked her to bring in a forensic accountant. If Candy was cheating, there was a chance Jake had been helping her financially. I wanted to find out if they'd moved money, opened new accounts, made any shady transfers. Ruby agreed. She said this would be messy. I said I wanted it messy, for them, not for me. After that, I started phase 1 of my revenge. I went to the spare bedroom. The one I used for storage. Pulled out a cardboard box from the closet, old tech stuff I kept for side projects. Inside was an old iPhone. I wiped it clean, jailbroke it, and turned it into a ghost device. Then I cloned Candy's phone. Every text, every call, every photo, streamed right to mine. Was it legal? Not exactly. Was it moral? Didn't care. The truth has no ethics when your whole life's been a lie. That night, she finally came home. She pulled into the driveway like nothing happened. I watched her through the kitchen window. She sat in the car for a few seconds, probably rehearsing whatever lie she was about to tell. When she came in, I was sitting at the table, same place I'd been all day. "Oh," she said, all surprised. "You didn't tell me you were back." "I wanted to surprise you," I said, calm as hell. She smiled, awkward, forced. Then she walked over and kissed me on the cheek. I didn't move. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Yeah, long flight," I replied. "Gonna hit the shower." I watched her face carefully. She was trying to read me. Trying to figure out if I knew. I gave her nothing. Later that night, she said she was tired and went to bed early. I lay beside her and stared at the ceiling while she slept. Her phone buzzed once around midnight. I didn't reach for it. I already had the message mirrored to mine. "Jake, miss your mouth already. Same time Thursday? Candy. Can't wait. Let's try the pool house this time." Winking face. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just smiled. Because now I had everything I needed. See, revenge isn't about rage. It's not about screaming in someone's face or catching them in the act. It's about control. And I was about to take control of everything they thought they owned. The setup. People think revenge is loud. It's not. Real revenge is silent. It's spreadsheets and strategy. It's patience. It's walking into a room with a smile while you're sharpening a knife behind your back. The morning after Candy came home from Jake's house like nothing happened, I acted like nothing had changed either. Kissed her forehead, made her coffee, she even thanked me, but I already knew about the message from Jake. I knew about Thursday at the pool house. And I knew everything else that had been happening for weeks, maybe even months. What she didn't know was that I had already seen Ruby that morning. "You said you wanted this messy?" Ruby asked, sipping her coffee. "I wanted biblical," I replied. She raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. That's why I hired her. The forensic accountant was already working. By now, they had access to our shared bank accounts, Candy's credit cards, her Venmo history. And I had something better, her phone clone. Every time she got a notification, I got one too. While she was at work, I sat on the couch and listened to her voicemails, read her texts, saw her photos. Most of them were from Jake. Some from his son, Mike. They were bold, shameless, not just about the sex. They laughed about me. Called me, Laptop Tim. Said I was too soft. Said I'd never see it coming. They were half right. That night, Candy made dinner like everything was normal. She even brought out wine and lit candles. I knew what she was doing. Guilt dressed up as romance. I played along. I even said something that made her laugh. It made me sick, but I needed her comfortable. Because Thursday was coming. And Thursday was the day everything would start to fall apart. I took off work that day. Candy thought I was at a client site. She packed her little overnight bag and left around 5 p.m., saying she was staying late to help a friend with an event. I waited 30 minutes, then followed. Marvin, the pie, was already in place. He had eyes on the pool house behind Jake's rental property. Not the main house, but a separate E-structure on the far end. Private, secluded, perfect for affairs. I parked 2 blocks away, walked up the trail behind the tree line, and met Marvin behind a row of hedges. He handed me his binoculars. Candy was already inside. Jake pulled up 10 minutes later. They didn't waste time. It was like watching a stranger. She wasn't shy, wasn't quiet, wasn't the woman I married. I felt sick again, but I didn't look away. We got everything. Photos, video, time stamps, faces, every second of it. It wasn't just for court. It was for me, proof that I wasn't crazy. That this wasn't paranoia. Afterward, Marvin gave me a flash drive. "This is the kind of evidence that wins everything," he said. I nodded, but I wasn't thinking about court. I was thinking about how to destroy 2 people without ever raising my voice. Back home, I didn't confront Candy. I didn't say a word. She came home Friday morning, kissed me on the cheek again. I smiled back, because I already had a plan. Not just to leave her. Not just to expose her. But to take away everything she thought she had. Step 1. Her job. Did I mention Candy teaches high school English? A respected teacher. Tenure track. PTA darling. Turns out, school boards don't like faculty who appear in videos doing, let's just say, extracurricular group activities with local business owners. I wasn't going to send anything just yet, but I prepared the envelope. Anonymous sender. Thumb drive included. Sealed. Labeled, for board review only. Step 2. Jake's company. Remember that California contract I signed? It was the biggest expansion we'd ever had. And it gave me negotiating power. Jake was my boss, on paper. But I held the keys to the biggest revenue spike our company had ever seen. And when I called the board of directors, and shared what I knew about Jake using company properties for recreational events, let's just say their response was immediate. Internal audit, suspended contracts, and Jake, put on leave pending investigation. By the end of the week, both their careers were hanging by a thread. But I wasn't done. Step 3 was the move no one saw coming. I invited Jake's wife to lunch. Yeah, he was married. I sat across from her at a quiet bistro downtown. She looked confused at first. Nervous. Then I showed her the photos. All of them. Her hands trembled. Then she laughed. Not out of humor, out of disbelief. "That bastard," she whispered. "With your wife?" "With multiple," I said. "But yes, mine was a regular guest." She didn't cry. Just shook her head and said, "I knew. I just didn't know it was this." Then I gave her a copy of everything. Told her I was filing for divorce, and I thought she should have the chance to do the same, with full custody, alimony, and his public reputation as part of the bargain. She thanked me, and I knew right then, I had a partner now. Someone with just as much to lose, and just as much to gain. They thought I was soft. They thought I was weak. But the truth is, I wasn't trying to win a fight. I was building a war. And the next phase? That would be personal. It started with small things. Candy came home Friday night after book club. Hair damp from a quick shower. That same floral body wash I bought her last Christmas clung to her skin, but it couldn't hide everything. There was a bruise on her collarbone, barely visible under the strap of her tank top. She noticed me notice it. She pulled her sweater over it and said nothing. Neither did I. She thought I didn't know. That was her first mistake. The second mistake came Monday morning. She called me during work hours, something she never did, and asked, "Babe, did you take some money from our savings?" "No," I said casually. "Why?" She hesitated. "It's down a few thousand." I shrugged. "Might have been bills. Check the statement." I did. "Then maybe you spent it." Another pause. "Right, maybe I did." We both knew she didn't. But I had. Just enough to rattle her. Not enough to get caught. And just like that, the doubt began. That was the point. I didn't want to just punish her. I wanted to make her feel what I felt. That creeping, gut-level anxiety that something is wrong but you can't prove it. Yet, Tuesday morning, Jake didn't show up at work. Candy didn't mention it, but she was quiet at dinner. The next day, she snapped at me over nothing, something about the dishwasher. "You loaded the damn thing wrong," she barked. I looked her dead in the eye. Didn't realize we had a correct way to clean the plates you don't eat off of anymore. Her eyes widened for a second, just enough for me to see it. Fear. She was wondering if I knew. I kept eating like it meant nothing. By Friday, her nerves were fried. She checked her phone constantly. Kept the ringer on. The texts were coming in fast now. From Jake, from Mike, even from Jake's wife, apparently, who had now frozen the joint bank account and filed for separation. It was all happening faster than I planned. I'd set dominoes in place. But some of them were falling on their own now. At work, Jake's name was quietly removed from leadership meetings. His calendar was wiped. A memo went out, leadership transition. No one said the word, suspended, but everyone knew. Candy kept calling him. No answer. She even drove by his place once. I watched her on the tracker. She sat outside in her car for 10 minutes, then drove away. She was losing control, and I was just getting started. I came home late that night, after drinks with a client. It wasn't a client, it was Kara, a woman I met at the gym a few months back. Friendly, honest, divorced. She knew nothing about Candy, and I didn't plan to tell her yet. That night, we sat in my truck in the parking lot, talking for over 2 hours. She wasn't the revenge type. Just safe. Someone who reminded me what it felt like to be seen. When I walked through the front door after midnight, Candy was waiting in the kitchen. No makeup, hair up, sweats. Where were you? Out. With who? Someone who doesn't sleep with my boss. That hit her like a slap. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I walked past her and went upstairs. I didn't yell, didn't throw anything. I just let it hang. Let the silence be the punishment. Saturday morning, she tried to act normal. Made pancakes. Smiled too hard. Sat beside me on the couch like it was some old weekend routine. I let her. She even leaned her head on my shoulder, and for a second, I thought about telling her everything. But then her phone buzzed. Jake, they froze my accounts. You told your husband? Her body tensed. She pulled the phone to her chest and said, I need to use the bathroom. I waited 5 seconds, then opened my phone. I had the message too. She was hiding it, still lying, even now. And that sealed it for me. She didn't regret what she did. She just regretted getting caught. So I began the final stage of the plan. I met with the realtor Monday. Put our house on the market. Candy didn't know. Not yet. I opened a new checking account. Closed the old joint one. Transferred every legal dollar I could. My paychecks were rerouted. Utilities switched to my name only. I was draining the lifeblood from our shared life. Not out of spite. Out of principle. If she wanted to be with Jake, she could build a new life with him. Without my money, without my name, without my house. The night before I served the papers, I stood outside our bedroom door for 10 full minutes, just listening. She was on the phone with her sister. I don't know what's wrong with him, she said. He's distant, cold. I think he knows, but he won't say anything. It's like he's waiting. She was right. I was waiting. For tomorrow. Because that's when the illusion would finally end. There's this moment, right before you break something important, where everything goes completely still. No anger, no shaking hands, no fast heartbeat, just stillness. That's how I felt when I handed the manila envelope to Candy across our kitchen table. She was making coffee, humming some soft tune, wearing my old college hoodie like it still meant something. She looked down at the envelope and said, "What's this?" "Read it." I didn't raise my voice. Didn't even look at her. I just sipped my coffee. She pulled the packet out and her hands started to tremble as she saw the heading. Petition for divorce. She blinked a few times. Tim, what is this? I met her eyes, finally. Calm, empty. That's me letting go. The silence between us could have swallowed the whole house. Then, her voice cracked. You knew? For a while. How long? Long enough to have copies of every message, every call, every photo. Long enough to have a pie follow you to Jake's pool house. Twice. She sat down. Her legs couldn't hold her. Tim, don't, I said, don't try to spin this. I don't want to hear about stress or loneliness or, he made me feel alive. Not from the woman who moaned his name while I was in California signing a deal to double our income. Her face flushed red. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. Nothing to say. She reached for my hand. I pulled it away. Stop, I said. This part isn't about your feelings. This is me protecting what's left of mine. She asked what the next steps were. I laid it out clearly. No emotion. Like reading a manual. I'm keeping the house. It's in my name, purchased before the marriage. Your name's not on the deed. I had it reviewed. You'll get a fair split of the savings. What's left of it, anyway? Her face twitched. Your job? That's up to the school board. If they get that thumb drive, well, we'll see. You wouldn't, she whispered. I just stared at her. Let the weight of her own choices settle on her shoulders. And Jake? She asked. I smiled, just a little. Suspended. Might lose his company. His wife served him last week. She's not as quiet as me. That one hit deep. She covered her mouth with her hands. It wasn't guilt. It was panic. That night, she didn't cry. She just sat on the couch, staring at the floor like it might offer her a time machine. I slept in the guest room. Door locked, phone off. But I didn't sleep. I just lay there, wondering how someone you trusted with your whole life could lie to your face that easily. The next few days, everything moved fast. She moved in with her sister. Jake tried to call me. I didn't answer, but I sent him one text. Tell Mike he left his boxers in my laundry. Hope that was worth it. No reply. Didn't need one. The following week, Candy sent me a long email. No subject line, just a wall of text. It was a mix of apologies and memories. Remember our first apartment? I still love your mom. I didn't plan to fall for him. She said I changed after the promotion. That I got busy, distant, boring. That last one stuck with me. Boring. I was out building a future, she was bored. And that was enough justification, in her mind, to climb into bed with someone else, multiple someone else's. I didn't respond to the email. She didn't deserve closure, but I did. So I called Kara, the woman from the gym. I asked if she wanted to grab dinner. She said yes. I didn't tell her the full story. Just enough to explain why I'd been distant the week before. We met at a small place across town. I wore a shirt Candy bought me for our anniversary 2 years ago. I looked at myself in the mirror before leaving and realized something. I didn't feel broken anymore. I just felt done. At dinner, Kara smiled a lot. Told a dumb joke. Laughed at mine. Nothing intense. Just easy. And for the first time in a long time, I laughed without guilt. Without pretending. It didn't feel like a rebound. It felt like freedom. The day Candy's job finally called her in, she texted me. Did you send it? I didn't reply. But yes, I had. Not to ruin her life. Just to remind her. Actions have consequences. She made her choices. Now she'd live with them. You can always tell when a liar realizes the truth doesn't care how sorry they are. It was a Tuesday when she showed up unannounced. I was in the garage, organizing old gear, the stuff we used to use for our weekend hikes. She pulled up in her sister's car, hair tied back, no makeup, like she wanted to remind me of who she used to be. Didn't work. Tim, she said, stepping out. Please, can we talk? I didn't move. About what? The past? We already lived that. It's over. She took a deep breath, came a little closer. Not about us. About the job. I'm being investigated. They said someone submitted an anonymous package. I heard, I said. You heard? I smiled. Small town. She paused. Was it you? You mean, did I send the school board video proof that one of their teachers was engaged in group sex with local business leaders in a drug dealer's pool house? Yeah, I did. She looked like she'd been slapped. I could lose everything. You lost me. Everything else is just furniture. She tried to guilt me. That we built a life. That we were supposed to grow old together. That she made a mistake. I let her talk, let her spiral. But when she said, "You're ruining my life," I finally snapped. No, Candy, you ruined your life. You did it one message at a time. One secret meetup. One lie. And when you got caught, you didn't confess. You just tried harder to hide it. She was crying now, but I felt nothing. I gave you a clean exit, I said. You could have admitted it. We could have separated quietly. But you had to lie, and cheat, and walk into our home pretending everything was fine. Jake lied to me, she said. He said he'd leave his wife. Jake lies to everyone, I replied. You two were a perfect match. She left not long after. I stood in the garage alone, surrounded by gear that still smelled like pine and campfire smoke. The last time I thought we were really happy. Funny thing is, I didn't feel regret. I felt clarity. That night, Jake called again. I let it ring. Then I picked up. His voice was cracked, hoarse. Tim, man, can we talk? You shouldn't be calling me. I just want to clear the air. I didn't mean for it to happen like that. You mean screwing my wife while I was building your business? Yeah, accidents happen. She said you were drifting. You know what the difference is between a man and a coward, Jake? He didn't answer. A man fixes what's broken. A coward sleeps with his best friend's wife and calls it destiny. Then I hung up. I blocked him after that. Forever. By the end of that week, Candy was placed on administrative leave from the school. Jake resigned. Mike, Jake's son, the intern I once mentored, ghosted them both. Apparently, he'd been bragging about the pool house parties to friends. That story spread faster than wildfire. His reputation? Cooked. 3 lives, scorched. And I never raised my voice. But here's the thing. You can win and still feel empty. Because revenge doesn't give you back your peace. It just removes the people who stole it from you. I took a few days off work, packed a bag, and drove to the mountains. Not to clear my head. To finally stop carrying the weight of someone else's lies. I stayed in a small cabin. No internet, no distractions. Just trees, silence, and my thoughts. For the first time in months, I slept without waking up angry. Without dreaming of her. And when I opened my phone to check the weather, there was a message from Kara. Hope you're doing okay. Still up for that rain check? I smiled. Maybe I was. Maybe, after all of this, I wasn't rebuilding. Maybe I was starting something brand new. The one thing I didn't expect. 2 months after I served the papers, the world felt still. Not perfect, not joyful, just still. I was living in the house alone. Candy hadn't tried to come back. Jake had vanished. The last I heard, he sold his company shares to cover legal fees. Word was his wife cleaned him out, and I can't say I lost sleep over it. Kara and I were taking it slow, dinners, hikes, long talks. I hadn't told her everything. Some stories carry a smell you don't want to bring into something new. But things were finally quiet. Until the letter arrived. Not an email, not a text, an actual, handwritten letter. From Candy. I almost didn't open it. But something about it felt different. It was short. Tim, you don't owe me anything. I know that, but I need you to hear something, even if it changes nothing. Before the camping trip, before Jake, I found out I was pregnant. It wasn't planned. I didn't tell you because I wasn't sure I wanted to keep it. I was scared, and stupid, and by the time I decided I did want the baby, I lost it. I never told you because I didn't want to make you feel something for me again. I've taken too much already. I just wanted you to know, not for forgiveness, but because you deserved to be told the truth at least once. I'm sorry. For everything. Candy. I sat there, holding the letter for an hour. Pregnant? I didn't know what to feel. Grief? Anger? Sadness? It felt like someone had dropped a stone into still water, and now the ripples were touching parts of me I thought were numb. She was right. It didn't change anything. But it did explain a few things. The sudden distance. Her confusion. The way she looked at me that one night and almost said something but didn't. Does it justify what she did? No. But for the first time, I saw her as more than the woman who betrayed me. I saw her as a scared human being who made a mess of everything, including the one thing she might have actually wanted to protect. I didn't reply to the letter. What was there to say? She had her truth now. I had mine. A few weeks later, Kara and I took a weekend trip up the coast. Nothing fancy. Just a beachside motel, some good seafood, and an endless horizon. She asked me, halfway through dinner, do you still think about her? I didn't lie. Sometimes, I said, not with love, not with hate, just memory. You don't spend 5 years with someone and erase that. Kara nodded. You don't need to be perfect to be honest. That's when I knew I was finally free. A year later, I sold the house. Too many ghosts. Kara and I moved into a smaller place across town. We adopted a rescue dog, started a garden. Some nights I still wake up in a cold sweat, not because I miss Candy, but because I remember how close I came to losing myself in all of it. You know the worst part about betrayal? It makes you question your own reflection. Makes you ask if you were ever enough. But here's the truth no one tells you. Sometimes people betray you not because you were too little, but because they were too empty. And instead of fixing themselves, they broke you to feel full. But that's not your burden to carry. Not anymore. This isn't a happy ending. It's a true one. And honestly, that's more than I ever expected.